It's extras and epilogues. Open the theater. Lights, cameras, action. Movies and reviews, things you might not have known. What happens when the credits roll? Let's get on with the show.
A timid accountant teams up with a down-on-his-luck producer in a get-rich-quick scheme to put the world's worst show on Broadway. This was before Turn Off the Dark, so you have to use your imagination here. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Extras and Epilogues. The theater is open once again as we finish out Muppet Brooks May with the final two films, the first of which is neither a Mel Brooks film nor a Muppet film. But no, I'm kidding. I'm going to stop. I'll stop being mean. It's the producers. It's Mel Brooks. It's the remake of The Producers, 2005. And that is going to be our Mel Brooks representation for the week. And then tomorrow we'll finish up the Muppets with The Muppets. I think it's just called, right?
Yes.
That's where that Kermit over. You can't see him, but there's a Kermit over there. And that's where he's from. But before we get to that, let me introduce the rest of the cast for the episode. And really quick, by the way, I want to send a big thank you to everyone that tuned in to PZ85 Pro over the weekend. We had not a record shattering. I don't think it was our most watched. It was the most watched weekend we've ever had. I mean, you guys came out in droves to watch the show, and we appreciate that so much. This Saturday, of course, is our next big PLE. It's a festival of conviviality inspired by Tim Curry from last week, so please check that out. But again, thank you guys for coming in and watching that. We had a lot of fun. We can't wait to do it again. Now, let me introduce my co-host for the evening. First up, he is a producer. It's Double H.
Like it. I want you to know, Shannon, that even though Tanner and I are sitting down, we are both giving you a standing ovation.
There's one thing about this film that they really did capture the spirit of Mel Brooks, and it is the rampant horniness. And speaking of rampantly horny, it's Tanner.
God damn it. Shannon, you are absolutely a CPA. A certified public asshole.
It was not because of Ron, Big Sweet Ron. That is a lie. And I'm not going to give any context.
Or Liam McGregor.
Probably not. It certainly wasn't Big Sweet Ron. This is, I believe, up until the new Spaceballs film, is this the last film that Mel Brooks appeared in? Am I crazy?
Physically, yeah, because
No.
I mean, I think he did a voice for that animated thing that's very similar to Blazing Saddles, right?
That, and he was also in the fucking Dracula Adam Sandler films.
Yeah, but not live
cartoon.
action.
Oh,
But not live action.
Hotel Transylvania.
No,
Yeah, I mean, this is the last movie he appeared in live because he's at the end, obviously.
Physically.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, it's an interesting film. It is a remake of the, 1967?
I think it is. I know it sounds like a bit, but I really do think it's 67.
I think it is 67. It's somewhere in that range for sure, which was Mel Brooks' first film, which is why I was really surprised we weren't doing that version. Because I was like, this was
67.
Mel Brooks' directorial debut, and we're not doing that one?
And that's Gene Wilder, isn't it?
It's Gene Wilder! Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks' debut,
I
Tanner.
have a reason. I like this one more.
Oh.
There's nothing wrong with the first one. I like this one more.
Well, Lindsay said she stopped watching the first one. She said it was because I told her some of my problems with this, and she said it was, it's just as bad, if not worse. And I said, you watched 5 minutes of it, and you turned it off. So how? And she's like, yes, and for those 5 minutes, it was very bad.
Wow.
She didn't say that.
Yikes.
She didn't say that. And it's a good thing we don't do that. We don't dismiss a film within the first 10 minutes, or first 10, 20 minutes, the first half hour.
There's a lot of shit I would have given up.
Exactly.
I would have given up on Dracula Dead and Loving It so fast.
I would have given up on this film because I told Hunter this, the part where Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick meet for the first time and he's doing the, I feel pain. And I was so annoyed. I thought it was such an annoying intro, but hold on. We'll save it. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. I apologize. Let's get to the stats, then we'll talk about the film. It was released December 16th, 2005. For once, I think a Christmas movie that you can actually take people to and not be, no blood and gore and people getting their faces ripped off. It's just comedy at Christmas. Who would have thought?
Well, and it's also a musical, and that's going to be
Right.
it's not a family show. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's rated PG-13, so you're not taking the entire family to this. But this is the kind of show that for the time that it ran on Broadway, you would take a lot of people to. Like an older kid can go and see this, and it's not going to be a big deal. So yeah, I think it probably that Christmas. I don't know off the top of my head. Well, actually, I was just looking at this. What else it opened up against, and it was quite the. It had some trouble given what it went up against, basically. And it was quite the range. I feel like I should bring this up right now, so I'm trying to find it as fast as I can.
Sure.
This movie went up against, oh God, yeah. So the very first King Kong remake, the Peter Jackson King Kong, yeah, which was also from Universal. So they were competing with their own thing. The first Chronicles of Narnia movie, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Memoirs of a Geisha, which was also, as I recall, I think that was a stage show at one point in time.
Yeah,
maybe afterwards. But that's
Z.
Rob Marshall, and yeah. And then, even though people don't really remember this well, it was a big deal at the time. Fun with Dick and Jane, which was
Jim
Carrey and Tay Leone, and it was directed by Judd Apatow. That was one of his early big deals. And I mean, Judd Apatow was the name in comedy in the mid 2000s. So.
Yeah. So some stiff competition there.
Stiff competition. Yes, very much so.
But, I mean, this thing's got a great pedigree. Listen to this. Directed by Susan Stroman, who also was the stage director of Oklahoma, The Producers, and Young Frankenstein. And written by Mel Brooks and Thomas Meehan, who... Sorry.
Librettist.
No, it's not that. I just got choked up for a second.
Oh, okay. I wasn't looking. I just assumed you were holding on the word.
No, I started to talk and I got that tickle in my throat.
Yeah, I hate
my
that.
apologies. I still don't know what that means though. Librettist for Annie.
Librettist. He wrote the book for.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
Yeah. So Annie, The Producers, and Young Frankenstein.
So did Mel Brooks actually write the screenplay on this, or is it based on his original characters and someone else wrote it?
He's credited as so. Okay, this is where it gets a little hinky on that front, because he is credited as it's credited as the screenplay by, so I'm on Wiki anyway, and the actual credits for the movie, it says written by Mel Brooks and Thomas Meehan, but Wikipedia says outright screenplay by Mel Brooks and Thomas Meehan, meaning that he had a hand in this. It does mention that it is based on both his original movie from 1967 and the musical, which started in 2001. And Brooks and Meehan wrote that as well, and then he's also a credited producer too. So yeah, apparently he had an actual hand in writing this movie. Now, how much of that was the case, I don't know. Right. But that's the credit they gave him. So technically, he did have a hand in making the movie. Yeah,
and I'm glad. I'm glad he had a part in it, because that makes me feel better about the review for it and what we're doing. Not that I felt bad about it, but I'm glad Mel Brooks, it was more than just, he did the old one, we liked it, so we made a new version, and we threw him a cameo at the end. No, I'm glad he had more of a hands-on approach to it.
No, he was on set and regularly involved in it. So,
starring, it's got a great cast. Nathan Lane as... I don't remember his name, but he was very famous.
Max
Bialystock.
There it is. Nathan Lane, who has some very funny parts in this. He also has... We'll save it for later. I'm sorry. I'll keep getting ahead of myself. I'll say it. I didn't like the recap song when he's in jail. I didn't need that.
Oh, are you serious?
I didn't need it. I knew what happened.
That was my favorite part of the whole freaking movie.
Really?
Legitimately my favorite part of the whole story. At the end of that, as soon as the lights came on in the cell,
I did like that.
I literally said out loud, "You got to be fucking kidding me!"
I like the lights
because here's what I'm thinking, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Sure.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about the stage performance of this, because again, this was the original cast. Lane and Broderick did this on Broadway together. Imagine getting that deep into a show that's already that taxing on both of those guys. This is the solo of all solos. He's able to recount all of that stuff at the same time on stage by himself for all the choreography. He sounds good during the whole thing, and to keep all that stuff in order, that's one of the most impressive musical performances I've ever seen. And while you might not need it, like you don't need to be recounted, that's not really the point of it. The point isn't, hey, if you tuned out for the last 2 hours, here's what's going on. The point is that this is this guy recounting it for his own benefit of, oh my God, this is all the shit that we went through together. And now this is how it ends. And I'm stuck here. Like, it's an incredibly impressive performance. Nathan Lane is never more impressive to me than he is in this movie.
I agree, he's impressive. That's part of my problem with this film is how much of it I thought was impressive and how much of it I just didn't like. I thought it was completely unnecessary. You could have given him a different song to do in prison. I didn't need a recap of everything that had happened up to this point. I know what happened.
It's also not like that's all he does.
No, he expands.
I mean, there's a lot more to that song.
Sure.
That's just a part of the song.
But I will concede the point that it is very impressive. I agree. Every song in this movie is impressive. I'm just going to say that. Every song in this movie is incredibly impressive. The stage design is impressive. Well, I say stage design, you know what I mean. The sets, the backgrounds and whatnot.
Sure.
The dancing, the choreography. It's all well done, extremely well done. Which is why I'm frustrated. We'll talk more about it here in a second because you know Hunter. I'm really trying to take that Siskel and Ebert thing we watched to heart of. What did you think? You were there.
Right. You saw a movie.
Right. How did you feel about it?
Not a bunch of people saw it, and here's what they probably thought. It's you saw a movie, and here's what you thought.
I'm fully aware, for the audience that's listening in, that we're going to disagree on this movie, all three of us. And I'm really starting to come into my own of going, that's okay. I feel no ill will or vitriol towards this film.
Of course it is.
It's not a personal thing. This is what we do as professionals, so let's jump into it.
Yeah. And importantly, we did nail Shannon's keyboard down because later tonight he will forget and he's going to try to flip it over.
I've already tried when they told me no with the mustache.
You're right, you little bitch.
Continue on with the cast. Matthew Broderick. I hated Matthew Broderick in this most of the time. I'm just going to be honest. He was
such a shame.
He was so annoying to me. There was something about the way he sang, the way he spoke, but it wasn't all the time. There were other times I really liked. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. I was just going to say, we haven't watched a lot of stuff that he was in other than Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's the only thing that comes to mind, actually, that we watched that he was in. Otherwise, you didn't like him in that either. I think you don't like Matthew Broderick.
No, because I loved him in Election.
Shit, yeah, that's right. That was the other big thing.
Yeah,
that's true. But he does play.
I'm going to bring up another Matthew Broderick movie that he's not going to like when we eventually get to it, and that's going to be Godzilla 1998.
That's source material. That's cheat code,
and
the opposite direction.
And I like Matthew Broderick in that film. I like Matthew Broderick. I really do.
He's one of the good parts about that movie.
Him and Jean Reno are about the only two good parts of that movie.
I forgot Jean Reno's in that.
There are parts of this film where I did like him, like the ending song where he's in court. I really like that part when he sings. And Nathan Lane says, "I had no idea you could sing." That was very, very funny. And but
he gently lays his head on his shoulder.
I honestly think it was the opening bit where he finds him and they go back and forth that it was so over the. Maybe it's because. Yeah, it was just too much. And you said something that I didn't realize.
Oh, brother, you do not need to watch the original then.
Yeah, Lindsay said the same. Yeah.
I was going to say this is a two-part thing, and I didn't mention that at the time, but I had gathered that was the case. Actually, the original would have had less of an argument for this, so I can't help you there because, again, I haven't seen it, and it was before any of that happened. The stage show didn't happen until 40 years after the original, 35 or so. It was, again, early 2000s. And these guys were the original cast. And the biggest criticism of this movie from critics, basically, from the sort of critic sphere, was that it doesn't really do a lot with being a film. And Mel Brooks himself specifically said, by the way, he wasn't bothered by that critique at all. He said, mainly, I wanted to make the movie so that there would be a record of the stage show existing. At the time, you didn't film a stage show the way that you might now with like a Hamilton or something like that, which they very much could have done years later, and that would have been a thing. I think Cats was the only one that had really done that, and one version of Phantom of the Opera from the West End. But he wanted a record of it to exist. And in a lot of fair critique, and we can talk more about it later, the film version doesn't do a lot with being a film. It mostly just exists to put what was on stage on screen. There are a couple times where they do some tricks that are a little bit different. And one of the things that does not translate well in a lot of ways is that scene. Now, in my head, as somebody who loves musical theater, who goes multiple times a year, who especially loves a good comedy, because boy, it's hard to get a good comedy on in musical theater nowadays, I could see what that would look like. And so it didn't bother me as much. These guys are doing a scene that when you are not 10 feet away from your screen, you know, and when you are literally, 50 to 100 feet away from them in an auditorium with a whole bunch of people, they're playing to the back of the audience. They're playing to the back of the house. And I think that's a directing thing, because again, you've got a director here who directed a lot of stage theater, a lot of musical theater, not a lot of film. I didn't have a single film credit for her. So I think that was done on purpose, because you want somebody there who worked with these guys on stage, but somebody, this is probably where Mel Brooks would have been very helpful in a co-directing role, since he had directed a lot of film, where he could have been able to say, hey, here's what needs to be done with the camera. Here's where we need to be. Here's what you need to say to these actors to kind of bring it down, to stage it differently. The scene itself didn't bother me. I thought the scene was actually funny as hell. I was very into it. The comedy was very much there for me. Matthew Broderick having a very straight face while he's freaking the fuck out was very funny to me for some reason. But I did think the way it was shot was weird. And I could see 100% why it would be off-putting in that way.
And
the important, like, just as a reminder, like, because Hunter brought it up, like, for the people listening and watching us right now, if you go watch this movie, don't think of it so much as a remake of the original film, because there's a lot of stuff in this film that doesn't appear in the original, songs included. This is 100% a screenplay of the stage play. Yeah, I've been.
Yeah, that's what I gathered too. Again, I haven't seen the original. That's what you mentioned earlier, because you got to fly away. That's just,
I see it.
So sitting there flapping back and forth.
So it's kind of like, to draw into something, just to give, bring me back in here. It's like the Phantom of the Opera film was based on the stage play and not on the original movie that had come out. Mm-hmm. It's based on some of the source material. But we'll move on. More actors in this film. Uma Thurman, who is. I'm distracted by my camera constantly, like, zooming in a little bit and out. I have no idea.
I thought you were distracted thinking about 11 o'clock.
Trying to focus on you for some reason.
No, God, look, man, I don't know if it's just as I get older, I'm far less interested in sexual comedy, but I thought the whole shtick was fine. She's very attractive. Uma Thurman is one of those women that I think is incredibly attractive. She's very, very talented. She's very funny in this.
The most Mel Brooks character in this entire production.
100%.
The most.
100%.
And that's going to be, it's kind of like the Roger Ebert review that's coming up. If that works for you, it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, it's not going to work for you.
Also starring Will Ferrell. At first, I didn't like him, but he won me over by the end. I thought he was very funny by the end of it.
I said a couple of times while we were watching it, I know a lot of people would disagree with me. This is peak Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And I get that when you look at box office receipts, you're going to say, no, it's not. Anchorman, Talladega Nights, leading man Will Ferrell is peak Will Ferrell. And don't get me wrong, all that shit was great, especially for the time. And he's got a body of work he could fall back on. But this is Will Ferrell in the thick of SNL, or either right in the thick of it or right after it. He's still an ensemble player. Yep. He's still a guy who is not the focal point. And it works that he is basically the antagonist in a lot of ways, or at least a sub-antagonist. In as much as somebody who causes problems in the play personified, like an actual person that causes issues. And I thought that worked. I also found it a little distracting early on, but I also had to remind myself, 2026, looking back at 2005, sure. Will Ferrell's had 20 years to build the legend of his presence on screen in between there. That's not fair. That's not fair criticism.
And this is a weird movie, looking back on, because the original one that came out in the 60s, highly controversial. We've talked about it many, many times. Mel Brooks, who was Jewish, using his talent to mock Nazis, to mock Hitler. And you get that in this film too, but you also get a lot of sexual comedy. You get I hope you like laughing at gays. If you find gay movement funny, you're going to have a time here, because that's the joke, is that they are flamboyant.
I mean, how many times has he done this before? That exists in Blazing Saddles. That exists in Spaceballs.
But to a lesser extent. This one, I think it was way more. But hear me out. Hold on. It's a twist ending. Because I was going to say, now here comes my favorite part of the film. And I think the man who stole the show, Gary Beach, as Roger, to me was...
Roger Elizabeth.
He was... You see them both pause. This is the second time somebody's middle name has been Elizabeth.
He was so funny and effortlessly charming. The whole time I was just like, who is this guy? I don't know this guy. I don't know Gary Beach very well. So, but I was incredibly impressed. I thought he put in a dynamite performance. He was so fun.
Yeah.
And
then, an awful lot of what they're doing there with the, playing up on like the overly flamboyant nature of it, that's a lot of it's tied into theater. It's because this is a theatrical production. It's because there's that stereotype of theater people are these kind of people.
Right.
I mean, that's the bit. And then of course it ends up coming back to benefit them in the best way possible because they're making fun of Hitler.
Right.
What better way to make fun
That's
of Hitler
the turn.
than to say, especially at that time, to say he was gay? Oh, they're going to lose their minds over that.
I think Roger and Carmen, who was his partner, to me were the two best parts of the movie. I wanted to see more of them in the film, although I do need to bring this up. I'm going to tie this back to Godzilla Final Wars. I want you guys to remember Roger's partner, okay? Remember how he looked. Because the whole time I saw him, I could not see, and I'm going to put the picture up on the Twitch stream, you guys will see it. I could not think of anyone other than the lead Zillion from Final Wars. I'm putting this picture up right now. I thought it was him. I thought it was a white version of him. I was like, wait a minute. That's the same guy.
I mean, he does kind of have that Caesar haircut and the really sharp
and
eyebrows.
The eyebrows.
Like,
yes. It was the eyebrows and the hair, and I just remember going, holy shit. That's awesome.
I didn't go there, but then to be fair, I've tried to purge as much of Final Wars out of my brain as possible. So
I had a wonderful family come in the store the other day and asked me, do you like Godzilla? Someone said you did. And I said, yeah, I love Godzilla. And him and his kids talked to me for about 20 minutes. They loved Godzilla and they mentioned how much they love Final Wars. And I went, thank you. Anyway, there's a lot of great...
Again, I need the context.
There's a lot of great cameos in this too. Michael McKean, I'm always a big fan of. David Huddleston is one of my favorite Mel Brooks cameos. I love when he shows up. John
Richard
Lovitz.
Kind is in it for about 3 seconds, which was bizarre. I couldn't. That was maybe the most egregious problem to me with the whole movie. I'm like, you hired Richard Kind and he does nothing funny. Yeah. Like what? What are you doing?
I remember he had like a line, and that was it.
Is he? I feel like I should go look this up. Is he in the original? And maybe that was just a little cameo for him to show up there.
I'm on the IMDb right now. Who was it? I'm sorry. I was
Richard Kind.
Richard Kind.
He was a little young. Yeah, he was born in 56.
Oh, okay. Here's what it was. When they did the revival of the show on the West End, he played Max Bialystock for a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So there you go. I wonder if that's what it was. And on Broadway, when Nathan Lane left the original production, he stepped in and played Max. Yeah. Okay, there it was. So that's what they were going for.
Did Broderick and Lane originate the roles on Broadway?
Yes. From the beginning, the moment it started in 2001, they were the original cast.
But I'm assuming Uma Thurman did not.
No, Uma Thurman and Will Ferrell, I think, are the only two people in here that were not in the, because I think Beach was in the original production too. I'm almost positive.
While you look at that up, I'm going to continue.
I'm going to look and see if it says who the original cast was.
With the stats.
Surely I can find the whole deal.
Runtime of 134 minutes. It is a little long, and I feel like they drug it out a little bit. It was a little long for my taste.
It's a stage show, man. This is another thing where I can 100% see that criticism again from a film perspective,
right? Because it's not a stage show.
Because it's a stage.
It's right,
exactly. And again, you've got a stage director who, again, probably needed Mel Brooks as a co-director here.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, he'd been criticized so often for being so heavy-handed with his productions. I'm sure there was a little bit of like let me step back and just let somebody handle this, and this was the wrong time to do it. Also, yes, Gary Beach, 134. So 2 hours and 14 minutes.
What's that, Tanner?
No, I was just saying I agree with Hunter. You've got a director who's coming in who's known for stage plays. That's this is
and frankly, again, I think that was a mistake. I think at the very least, a co-directing credit for Mel Brooks, who could have kind of brought it more back to the screen, would have been a good idea.
I think he was still
Beach,
afraid.
Broderick, and Nathan Lane. Oh yeah, then that's
He
yeah,
was
exactly.
afraid.
That's
Gene
what I
Wilder
getting at.
was still alive.
Yep.
At the
Yeah,
time,
he would come get him.
He would come get him. Yeah.
Lane Broderick and Gary Beach were all in the original cast. Carmen was played by Roger Bart. Franz Liebkind was played by Brad Oscar, and then Katie Huffman played Ula, but I don't know her. I'm looking at her now. She doesn't look familiar at all. It looks like these were all like consistent stage people, not crossovers. So, yeah.
Move on to the critical reception. 51% critical rating.
51.
Little fitty.
Fitty.
On Rotten Tomatoes, that's 5.4 out of 10. Metacritic score of 52 out of 100, which is mixed or average, and a cinema score of B+ on an A to F scale, with 3 out of 4 stars from Roger Ebert himself, who said, quote, "The movie is a success that I know. How much of a success, I cannot be sure." And you put on there, or in the parentheses, most negative reviews said the film, as we've said before, was better suited to the theater than the screen. I think he gave the original producers a good review too, if I remember.
4 out of 4.
Oh, 4.
I'm looking at it. He gave it full 4 out of 4 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is wild because, as I understand, when that movie came out, it wasn't beloved when it came out.
Yeah. So importantly, this is a he's reviewing it in the year 2000. But he, in the second paragraph of the Roger Ebert review of the original film, he literally says, quote, "This is one of the funniest movies ever made. To see it now is to understand that. To see it for the first time in 1968, what I did was to witness audacity so liberating that not even There's Something About Mary rivals it. This movie was like a bomb going off inside the audience's sense of propriety."
And I think there is something to be said, to jump onto that here, that when the original came out in the 60s, it was kind of unheard of to see some of these jokes, to see that humor. That's what Mel Brooks brought to the table. But in 2005, it's much harder to shock audiences the same way. So I imagine seeing the original for the first time was a completely different experience from even seeing this one for the first time.
Yeah. I went and looked at his Ebert's review for this film, for the 2005 film, and to give you the full quote on that, he said, quote, "The new movie is a success, that I know. How much of a success, I cannot be sure. Someone who has seen the original only once or twice or never would be a better judge." He says, "I know the 1968 movie virtually by heart. It's one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen, which makes it tricky for me to review this version, both because it's different and because so often it is the same. It is unfair to observe Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick that they are not Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder, but there you have it. They're not." So even he said outright, like he was kind of not poisoned, but definitely affected by not only how much he had seen the original, but how much he loved the original, and basically made himself what is it when like a judge recuses themselves of saying, I can't be impartial about this.
It's impossible. The impartial. I forgot to mention budget versus box office. $45 million versus $38 million. Unfortunately, with these, I don't know how well the Muppets did. I could look because I think it's down there, but these movies have really gone like this over the month, like box office wise. Yeah. You can see where these guys were the kings of what they did and how it slowly fell off there. So
the new Muppets movie does significantly better, but again, they had a long break. I expect that. Well, no, I was gonna say I expect the same thing will happen with Spaceballs, the new one, but I don't, because now we're post COVID. Nothing's making money at the box office if it doesn't have a Marvel logo on it. So I don't know, or if it's not some surprise hit like freaking Obsession. Not to take away from this, but my God, have you heard about Obsession?
Yep, already seen it.
I haven't seen it yet, but it made less, or it cost less than $1 million to make, and apparently it's on its way to basically smash Blair Witch out of the park in terms of the most successful, like, low budget movie ever.
That's why studios love horror films, because they operate on very small budgets and always get big returns. And it's daddy's little shame when it comes to the Academy Awards. They don't like to give any credit to horror films, but Lord knows they love the money they bring in. I've heard Obsession
already talked about
is great.
Yeah, I forget her name, Indy something. But
I heard she's fantastic.
They're like, she's gonna get passed up the same way that Naomi Scott did for Smile 2. Like that, the both of them should have gotten huge accolades at these award shows for their performances, and they won't even acknowledge. They won't even mention their names.
Toni Collette, I don't think was she nominated for Hereditary?
I doubt it.
Because she damn well should have
even
been.
even with Hereditary being a prestige kind
An
of
indie
horror
darling.
movie, A24, and not just that, but also like a extremely well acted. Like
Yeah.
you're looking at it from this isn't just a slasher flick,
Right.
which is also derivative of it, but or dismissive of it. But anyway. We've lost the plot. But yeah, all
back
that
to this.
stuff.
Back to this. Well, most horror films don't have one anyway. Let's talk about the producers. What is it about? So Nathan Land is a terrible producer whose movies flop, or his Broadway shows flop. His accountant, played by Matthew Broderick, comes in to help his books. They figure out that they can rip everybody off and make out like bandits if they put on the worst show ever. And so they set out to do that with a musical about Hitler, and shenanigans happen. And it's a lot of singing, a lot of dancing. If you like singing and dancing, this movie's for you. It is a musical through and through. I've been spoiled lately with the musicals that I've watched where you get 3 or 4 songs, spread throughout. And I think we're all very used to the Encanto, to a lesser extent, Coco style of musicals where it's super catchy stuff you'd hear on the radio, that kind of thing. This is not that. These songs sound like they come from a musical. Like they straight up sound like they come from the stage. And I think that works in its favor. It creates something that's unique. Double H, I'm going to send it over to you first and get your thoughts on the film as we move along here.
Yeah, I said it earlier. My biggest criticism is the same in a lot of ways of the major criticism of the time with it, in that it feels strongly like a stage musical that was put on the screen without being. Again, do this 10 to 20 years later, and you would just film the stage. You would just film the stage the way that you did Hamilton, where you have an on-stage camera and you also have several off, so you can get unique camera angles, but it's quite literally filmed as it was, in the stage. I think Susan does a fine job of directing the film in the sense that she's directed these people before. And I'm certain that's why she was brought in to do it, but she's not a film director. And you can kind of see that. There are multiple times where it feels like this is a film of the time. It's shot the way that a movie in 2005 would be, especially a comedy would be. It's very straightforward. And it doesn't really do anything unique or interesting. One of the jokes that definitely, even though I've never seen the stage version of this show, sadly, I really hope that they tour it again sometime because I'd love to see that. At one point in time, Ula and Leo are in the offices and he moves away from her. It's before that song where he's like trying to act like he's not interested in her. He moves deep to the camera, and it's a very Mel Brooks type of joke. She says, "Why do you move so far, camera right of me?" Which again is a little fourth wall break and all that. And it's funny enough, but on the screen, he has to really get deep into the camera for it to play in anyway. Like he's very much all the way up at the camera lens and she's way deep back in the scene, where it's really more of a stage, down and stage up kind of thing, up stage, down stage. I had to look this up. It's funny enough. It's fine, but it doesn't really land in any kind of big way. The stage version of that, he goes so far stage right that he's practically off stage. And she has to call out to him, "Why do you go so far stage right of me?" And again, it's a fourth wall break, but it's funny because there's like an ocean of space between the two of them. It doesn't play out as well on the screen. It's not as interesting or as Mel Brooksian as it might be otherwise.
It feels like a little homage. Like they couldn't get the right thing, but they still kept it. Kind of like, I think in that same scene, isn't there a little reference to Spaceballs? Blazing Saddles, where he's, I think it was at the Nathan.
Work.
Yeah, here goes work.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, hey, I got that. Yeah, got the reference.
Which that part's fine because it's just a reference. But when you're doing a joke that relies on the visual acuity of what's being said, it's just not as fun. If you see a picture of them on stage and how far away he gets from her, that's such a minor thing to mention. But again, that's all I could think of the entire time I was watching this movie, was that this is clearly a stage show that Mel Brooks wanted a record of. And he more or less said that, if not literally said, I wasn't really worried about box office returns or anything like that. I wanted to have this available to people who didn't get a chance to see it. And I wanted something that would stand the test of time and exist and go, you didn't get to see the show. Here's the show. So that to me is I won't call it cardinal sin. That's really hyperbolic. That's going way over the top, but that's the biggest issue with it, is that It's trying to be, it's, how many times am I going to go back to this? It's a little bit of the same criticism I throw at Ghostbusters 2016. It wants to be multiple things, and it can't do all of them successfully. It wants to be a stage show, it wants to be a film, and it lives in this kind of weird little world between the two of them where it succeeds, but not, it's what Roger Ebert said, it succeeds, but not in a way that you can quantify that you might have been able to otherwise.
Yeah, and I don't think that in itself is a problem, you know, being unique like that. I mean, I welcome that. I welcome unique films, and this film did feel very unique. Sure. But for me, and this is just me personally, from the movie I saw, from my perspective, all of the uniqueness didn't make up for what I thought was a lack of laughs. Like, I just didn't find it particularly funny. I thought
See, that's where we differ.
That is, I know, and I'm
very into it.
I'm definitely fighting. I'm not fighting from my back against the wall. You know what I'm saying? I know you both thought it was way funnier than I did, and I'm trying my best.
And comedy is so subjective.
It's incredibly subjective. I have a different sense of humor than a lot of people, and this movie was just, it was, to me, it was so over the top and obnoxious in parts with the way that they acted, because it did feel very theaterish, but I feel like I'm just regurgitating what you said, but the problem for me was it is a film. I like the nuances of film. I like the differences in performances. Again, I've watched both the stage play of Phantom of the Opera and the movie probably 20 times each, and I recognize the difference of what Joel Schumacher tried to do when adapting it to the screen, as opposed to just doing the exact same thing. I feel like he tried to do a similar thing with that they did here, while still trying to make it feel more like a film. And in a lot of ways, I think he failed on both those sides. Whereas this one is very good at making it feel like a stage play, but it just didn't interest me as a movie. I love the extravagance of it. I loved the energy, but at the same time, it just nothing landed really for me. There were certain parts I chuckled, and there was one part I chuckled, and I was never bored. I was never going, oh, this is terrible. There were parts I thought this is terrible, but overall, I don't know, man. I have such a weird feeling with this film. It's not so clear cut black and white for me. You know, I probably made it sound very much like when I messaged you that I just absolutely despise this film. And as I was talking to Lindsay, I was like, I didn't despise it. But there's a lot of things that I have thoughts on, but I'll share my thoughts at the end. I'm not trying to hog the stage here. Tanner, I want to send it over to you and ask you why we did this film and not the original.
So for me, I kind of did it as a social experiment for you, against you, I should say, because I know how you feel about certain musicals. Mm-hmm. Generally, if it's not Phantom of the Opera, you're not interested in.
Or Moulin Rouge, or any of the films Lindsay's shown me, or...
I'm talking about stage musicals.
Moulin Rouge is a stage musical.
Yeah, but have you seen it on stage?
Brother, I've never seen anything on stage other than Phantom of the Opera and Sailor Moon. So, like...
That's true.
Your experiment had very...
Regardless.
Okay.
I know what I'm saying is I know your taste of musicals is limited. Yes, I know Moulin Rouge. Yes, I know Phantom of the Opera. I'm not going to count Sailor Moon. We'll count it, whatever. But what I'm saying is I knew if there was a chance to get you to actually kind of maybe enjoy a musical, I thought it may have been this. Because in my opinion, this entire film, all the comedy is Mel Brooks comedy. It's just in a different way than what we're used to getting.
But Mel Brooks comedy was great in the 70s and the 80s. But just like I grow up and I think things are funnier at certain points of my life, I don't find flamboyantly gay people funny just because they're gay. I don't find she's sexy and they want to have sex with her funny just because. Like, so much of Mel Brooks' humor that I liked in his earlier films, I don't still like now. It doesn't feel like it's grown much. Like, it is a snapshot of that. And well, fuck, Hunter, I'm just regurgitating what he said again, because he said, if that's a thing you like, you're going to love it. If it's not something you like, you're not going to like it. So, I am somewhere. All right. Go ahead.
Well, so
I need to give some shit going, I am somewhere.
Don't click that.
Shit,
Sorry,
clip that,
Dan,
clip that,
go
clip
ahead.
that. So, should I broke me? I know the humor towards the humor towards people who are gay, homosexual in any way, shape, or form. I know some people are going to find that offensive, but importantly, I need everybody to know that this is from a Broadway show where it's almost automatic. You are not allowed to be on Broadway if you are not accepting and loving and caring of everybody, of every version of everything. When I remember when the nightclub shooting happened in Florida, Pulse, was that the name of it, Pulse?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when it happened, when that shooting happened, they had the Tonys not long after, and when Lin-Manuel won an award, he came up on stage and was crying, talking about the hatred that was shown, and that everybody on Broadway needs to come together, remember to show the world that love is love is love is love is love, and that is, I mean, that's stage musicals in a nutshell. Um, Jokes like that aren't going to get by if they're actually found to be offensive. Um, the Keep It Gay song and dance from this film are one of my favorites. From just the song itself to naming off the different people of his crew, including his lighting director being just the butchest of lesbians. That was very funny to
Again,
me.
probably the second most Mel Brooks thing in the movie.
Yeah,
Beyond Newell. That's the next bit is him. Because I mean, this is literally the end of Blazing Saddles, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I enjoy the movie. I do, and there's something there for everybody. I know. I think we're at the point now where we look back at old Mel Brooks stuff that if it was made today, we would say it's offensive. But we're looking back on it now with rose-colored glasses because we still love it, because we still think it's funny. But if it's made in more modern times, we're thinking, okay, that's offensive. We shouldn't like it. Whereas this isn't so much one of those things where we're like, hey, that's offensive. It shouldn't have been made or shouldn't be said. I think it's pending the audience who's watching it. And now the audience that this movie was targeted for fell in love with the story.
Oh, not according to the box office receipts.
Anyway, don't care.
I also, I think that's an unfair assessment because things that are made currently, we go, oh, well, that's not funny. I thought Chappelle's Show was hilarious, and it was made around the same time period. I had no problem laughing at Chappelle's Show. Offensive comedy can be funny as long as it's funny and not just offensive. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just didn't see the humor in all the gay jokes. There were times I thought they were funny and charming. And I thought those two guys were the funniest and most charming parts of the film. But there are other parts where it just didn't work for me. Look, I'm trying to be as
and that's what I'm saying. That's
polite as possible.
I agree. Like I agree. Like
I also take offense to your assumptions about my musical enjoyment. I have been in multiple musicals on stage as well as watching them.
Shawnee Community College does not count.
Why? Why does it count? Is it a stage musical? Did I sing and perform in front of an audience? How does it not count?
That's just because I don't like the man who was in charge of all that good stuff.
I don't like any of them.
You were in Madrigal and Little Shop of Horrors.
I was in Little Shop of Horrors because I got broken up with on stage.
On stage.
In fact, I still have a VHS of it somewhere. True story. My girlfriend walked up to me right before we were playing. We were supposed to be a married couple in the performance. I had two parts. I was one of the half of the married couple, and I was the radio host as played by John Candy in the original in the film. And right before we go on stage for the first time, my on-stage wife and real-life girlfriend broke up with me, and then I had to go perform with her as her husband. One of the most miserable things I've ever done, and it's on film somewhere. We have a VHS of it.
Jeez. Yeah, I remember.
Brother, there's a DVD out there of me doing High School Musical.
Michaela said that's fucked up and awkward. You haven't even seen Tanner's performance. Lindsay's
I could
laughing
dunk
again.
back then, so it's
Oh,
pretty nice.
I'm kind of
Anyway,
glad I
but no-
don't have the video performances of the stuff that I was in, because they exist, but I don't have them. I was in Oklahoma and I was in Guys and Dolls, both in high school, and yeah,
Have an antenna.
it was a good time. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I.
What I was trying to get at though with my comments earlier was that I understand why you didn't enjoy that part of the movie itself, and you probably wouldn't enjoy that part of the show, of the Broadway show. But I think for the audience that it was targeted at, it very much landed.
Well, that might be a problem for why it didn't make as much money. And I'm not criticizing the film for this, but whenever you create something for a niche audience, you're going to get niche returns. And unfortunately, most people in the entertainment industry are not looking to satisfy people. They're looking to satisfy investors and whatnot. Mel Brooks is just a dying breed of people who can do whatever he wants, get away with whatever he wants because he's Mel Brooks. In the same way that Jim Henson did. And I don't know today, who's a good version of that today? Who's an entertainer? Can they just be like, I'll do what I want, and you like it or don't, I don't care.
I mean, to a certain degree, you're talking about not as an entertainer, but you're talking about James Cameron. I mean, Cameron can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yes,
fortunately for him, everything he does makes $8 billion. So,
but it also
doesn't really matter.
$5 billion, and then it gets.
That's
iffy.
true. That's true, and he gives it to you out of
Even
his own
Spielberg.
pocket.
So I think he's fallen off. I think he's fallen off.
I wouldn't say he could do anything he wants.
Yeah.
I do think he's heavily revered, and he's got a hell of a body of work. But people are not taking the risks on some of the stuff he wanted to do like they would have. Importantly, he's not taking risks anymore. Sort of. But even then, Tarantino's also got a reputation where unless he's going to put a lot of his own funding into it, it's not going to happen.
I think James Cameron
I was going to say
one because he literally
he's the one who's funding.
He stopped making other films and just decided to make. I'm going to make this blue people movie. Hello, Dweezy.
I didn't want to step in while you guys were talking about those things too much, but I did want to mention, I don't think at any point in time, I don't think we should dwell on this for as long as we have. It's such a, not minor, but not the entire point of the movie, but the entirety of the characters who are gay, and the joke is sort of that they are gay. At the very least, it is important to note that, like it is most of the time with Mel Brooks, we're not punching down. The joke is not let's make fun of them because that is the case. The joke is just that these gay characters are doing things that people find to be stereotypically gay, and they are unabashedly not caring about it. So at the very least, you got that much going for you. It might not land for everybody, but it doesn't. Well, I don't think it ever reads as offensive. Right. No. I don't think it ever reads as, because the word offense got thrown in there. I was like, well, at no point in time were we punching down and going, this is wrong for that being the case. It's funny when one of them says to the other one to get away from the guy trying to shoot them, quick, back into the closet. Like you see what the joke is, because they're going in there to get away from, again, but it's not a punch down. It's not this is horrible, to say of them.
But there's another part in the film where Nathan Lane, I think, straight up says, "You fruits ruined me," or something like that. Like,
yes, yeah, and the point at that point is that he's
frustrated,
to be an asshole,
right? Well, he is an asshole the entire movie. He's an asshole to the very end. He tries to walk out of the courthouse mid-song, and my favorite part of the movie. The funniest part of the movie for me, and I did laugh out loud at this part, as they're singing this super emotional song between him and Matthew Broderick about, I didn't have a friend until you. And then I saw it, I was like, he's going to walk out those goddamn doors. Yep. And he just walks out the doors, and you wait for a big number return, and instead he just kind of walks back with a cop pointing a gun at him. That's comedy. That's very funny. I love that very much. Hey, we're almost an hour into this. We can't argue forever, me and everyone. Let's get to the reviews. On this show, wait, hold on. I never turned this on. I don't need to turn this on. Nah, we'll leave it off. The lighting's fine as it is right now. We never even did any of the trivia. Hit me with some trivia before we get to the reviews. I feel bad.
There's at least one of these that's hard to say out loud, but I will mention I like this a lot. So after the number of De Guten Tag Hopklop that they do with Franz on the roof, Max goes to open the door and he can't. And at one point in time, he shouts, "We're trapped." So this is an inside joke, because he just tries to open the door, says we're trapped, and then he goes like, I got it. When they were on the West End one night, a stagehand had locked that door by mistake. So Nathan Lane went to open it. It wouldn't open. because he's Nathan Lane and he knows how to improvise, he immediately turns and shouts, "We're trapped like rats with a crazy Nazi!" And then someone else goes up and unlocks the door. And it doesn't say it here, but he did the same thing he does in the movie, where he's like, "Oh, got it," and just walks out. I like that a lot. He also literally shaved the top of his head so that his comb over would look realistic.
That's
which
dedication.
it was, because it literally was realistic.
Yeah.
I imagine he wore a lot of hats at this time outside of the set so that he could cover that.
Well, he's a producer. He can wear a hat.
Yeah, he's got one. And then we're going to talk about the end of the film here in just a minute. But in the last frame, right before they go to the credits, the camera pulls out and you see the shot of all the different theaters and all their marquees. I was glad I knew to look for this, because I don't think I would have noticed it otherwise. So on the far left, you're seeing all these theater marquees. These are real theater marquees that are on Broadway. The L'Enfantin Theater, their marquee is on the left, and it's a vertical one, which means that you see the last little bit of it because it's not all in frame. The last four letters in Fontaine are A-N-N-E. Anne Bancroft had passed before the movie came out. That's Mel Brooks' wife, of course. And so this was a little bit of a tribute to her. And that got me when I knew that that's what that was. And it was right there, right beside his name, screenplay by Mel Brooks.
That's sweet.
That got me a little bit.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Let's get to the reviews on this show. We follow a 5-point system inspired by the greats. 2 thumbs up, you love the film. Get ready. 1 thumb up, you like it. 1 up, 1 down, you are neutral or indifferent, and you will explain yourself. You had a big hog. 1 down, you don't like it. Hunter didn't get to see it. I did the little forward.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It's very good. 1 down, you don't like it, and 2 down, you absolutely hate it. The last movie that we hated is still Alien Resurrection. I don't think that's going to change tonight, but let's find out. The last double up is, I believe, what was last week? Muppet Treasure Island. Yeah, Muppets got 2 in a row, like knocking it out of the park. And I did have some reservations about Muppet Treasure Island. I struggled with it. Eventually I did land on 2, but it was close. Where will we end up tonight for the producers? The 2005 edition. Let's find out. First, we're going to throw it to Tanner. He is our special guest for the last time. And then we say goodbye to Tanner for a little bit as we welcome Zach Kurgis back to the fold in the next couple of weeks. Tanner will be back, obviously, as will Lindsay and everyone.
I'm back for Dogma.
Yeah, but that's not first, right? That's later.
No, that's like 2 or 3 weeks away.
Yeah. So Tanner, it's the credits at the end. It says Big T will return in Dogma. Tanner, give me your review for 2005's The Producers.
I think the comedy on this hit me all the way. Like I caught myself giggling or actually laughing out loud several times in this movie. I was telling Hunter before the show started, before you got here, that I watched this movie when it first came out in 2005. And it was funny then because I was Mel Brooks, Nathan Lane will always tickle my funny bone. I don't give a damn what that man does. Nathan Lane is one of the funniest creatures on the earth. This is, it's essential for hey, we're going to sit down and have a Mel Brooks marathon. The Producers is one of the films that's got to be on there. The original and this, the original I thought was a little over the top and didn't have quite as much of the music that I like, because it wasn't musical. It was an actual film about a musical. I'm a musical person. We've covered this ad nauseum. Just the little jokes though, like I found myself now rewatching it today again and realizing that a lot of those jokes that kind of went over my head as a kid at 15 when this movie came out are fucking landing hard. And I'm seeing those little things, those little nods to the old movies when the work. Like, we're seeing that thing, I go, that's Blazing Saddles. That's funny. And it landed with me. Now I know that it's a Broadway musical turned into a film, not in the aspect that it should have been, like Hunter talked about. This absolutely would be one today that would be filmed on stage. And I think that would benefit greatly because you get an intermission with that. Whenever they do a Broadway show on film like that, they do an intermission so that way you get to take a break and all that good stuff. We don't get that aspect here. It is long. It is very long. Some of it I think could have been trimmed. I get the idea what Mel Brooks wanted to have this film be a testament to what the stage play was. But some of the stuff I think could have been cut just for time. The song he sings while he's in jail is literally one of my favorite parts. Just his reenactment of different parts that he didn't have anything to do with. It was hilarious. But I think the length of it is a big thing for me. So that said, I love the movie. I would absolutely tell somebody to go check it out. But the length of it is a big down for me. So I'm only going to give it one thumb up, simply for how long it was. The comedy lands with me. The acting lands with me. Matthew Broderick's not one of my favorite actors in the world, but he was very funny in this. I think he had just the right amount of over the top for that character. Not saying Gene Wilder was bad in the character, but he was very, like, if Matthew Broderick was here, Gene Wilder was fucking off the charts. It was just, it's a good movie. One thumb up.
Say one thumb up one more time.
One thumb up.
I really thought you were going to go two there, so I was a little bit surprised. Hunter,
oh my God.
I think it's your turn this week.
Is it? Oh, okay. I thought it was the other way.
Well,
I
don't know.
Did I not? No, I think I did
Shannon,
go last
because he
week.
deferred to you last week.
Oh, that's right. He played his special Rainbow Trout double reverse backwammy card. It's very rare. It's very rare that we do that.
True.
We've only busted it out one time in the entire existence of the show.
True.
So
yeah, we invented it last week for that specifically.
I'm going to keep mine in my pocket, and I'll go ahead and go first. I may call upon it someday, just so you know.
Okay.
Okay. I thought this movie was incredibly impressive. And I mean that. That's from the heart. I mean, I really did think this movie was impressive in terms of energy, in terms of sets, in terms of costumes, in terms of the performances, the singing. It's very impressive. My problem is I was impressed, but I wasn't always entertained. I didn't think there was nothing in particular that made me go, you shouldn't watch this movie because of this. But personally, there were times, and this is the first time I've thought this in a long time in movies we've watched, where I thought, I want this to be over. I want this movie to end so I can go do other things.
Wow.
It wasn't always, but that's the problem, is it wasn't all the time. There were times that I found myself to be quite entertained. I thought some of the jokes were very funny. I thought Gary Beach, and I forget the other gentleman's name, were extremely funny in their roles. I thought Will Ferrell really grew on me over time. Nathan Lane, I have nothing against him. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I thought he was good in this. I did not like Matthew Broderick in this. There were times I thought he was okay when he was a little bit more serious, but whenever he does do the over-the-top stuff, I was just annoyed. I was irritated. I thought it was obnoxious. A lot of this movie I thought was obnoxious. And I think part of the reason I think that is because, as we've said a million times, this very much feels like a musical that they filmed up close. And whenever you have somebody that loud and that over the top directly in your face performing, I think it does change it a little bit versus seeing them way over there and they're emoting, they're projecting to the back of the auditorium or, the theater or whatnot. The house. So I think that is part of my issue with Matthew Broderick, especially. I think, and I've been debating it all show, and I'm still debating it as I say this, because I didn't hate the movie. There were, I hate to be that guy, but this is how I feel. I'm going to go one up, one down on it. I thought it was a balance of things I like and things I didn't like. Honestly, I would have tipped to one thumb down based on my own personal feeling of I'm not enjoying this, or not that I'm not enjoying it, but this just isn't my thing. And there are parts of this that really annoy me. But I really think that gets balanced out by the fact that it is so well done. It's a cup of tea movie. If this is your cup of tea, you're going to be drinking good. If this is not your cup of tea, you may feel like I feel of, well, that was interesting, that was unique, and that was impressive, but I don't know if I actually liked it. So that's where I'm landing. I'm going to go 1 up, 1 down. I thought a lot of it was well done, but it just did not reach me like I think it reached everybody else. That is, if someone were to ask, would you recommend people watch it? I would, because I want to know what they think. I know Lindsay likes it, and I'm pretty sure everybody here likes it. So we may just have another, what was that movie called? The Breakfast Club type scenario, where this one just...
Risking It for Seymour.
Well,
that was your second guess on what it was called.
For the record, you guys can't hear it because she's muted, but I hear her laughing every time. She giggles. But that's
my favorite part was that it started with the Breakfast Crew, and then it went to Risking It for Seymour.
I think if they had gone with the title "Risking It for Seymour," the movie would have been better remembered. I don't think it's really remembered as a favorite, but it would have been.
At the end, you would have been going, "Who the fuck was Seymour?
Why were they risking it for him? Like, what were they risking? More detention?
Risking what?
Yeah, like I don't understand. So yeah, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm gonna go ahead and give Breakfast Club 2 thumbs down. I just can't. No.
I think you did, didn't you?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure you just fucking hated that.
Which, by the way, if nothing else, I want you guys to know that this shows you that my reviews, these are genuine. This is not me trying to be counterculture. Yeah. This isn't me trying to be contrarian. This is just how I felt about the movie. And I am fully aware that I feel differently about this one than everyone else did. But yeah, it just did not reach me the way that it reached everybody, including Roger Ebert, who I generally agree with. It's very middle for me. So that's where I'm voting. Hunter.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it. That might have been the biggest gulf between us in terms of review ever, because I think you gave Breakfast Club 2 down, and I'm pretty sure I gave it 2 up. I might have gone 1 up, but I think I went 2. I think it went 2 on everything that month, if I remember correctly.
It was that was
the first time that I'd gone a whole month where everything got that review. When we were doing single features, double features, I think this past Animation April was as close as it got to being. But I didn't give all those 2.
No, and it gets so difficult when you have so many movies, you know? Poison's the
we have a lot more nowadays. Yeah. We are hitting our 200th movie this summer. It'll be the very first movie in August. Yeah.
Hey, that's my birthday.
From the numbers.
What are we doing in August?
Yeah, literally, we'll be doing the 200. Back to school movies. I'm assuming that's what we've been doing for the past couple of years. We've still got some bangers to go.
I just don't think they make that many movies about going back to school. Or
not literally back to school, but being in school in general. Yeah,
I think they do,
because you have to start taking the college stuff into account.
I know. Now I am being contrarian and facetious. Sorry.
Well, it's derivative.
It's true.
Anyway,
I can't deny it. I wish this goddamn camera would stop going. Woo!
I don't know why that's doing that to you.
I fucked something up.
I'm gonna start my review by quantifying it in a big way. First of all, I love musical theater. I always have. This is the moment that I discovered this was a thing that people could do and that I could not only watch but participate in. Sold. Done. I took a pretty big break from it post-college until Sarah and I started going to the fabulous Fox Theater in St. Louis on the regular. Now we see, I would say on average 2 to 3 shows there a year, in addition to the symphony stuff that we go to. And it's exclusively musical theater. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think we have gone to see anything really that wasn't that up to this point off the top of my head. I can't think of anything we've seen that wouldn't be classified that to some degree. So I love that. I'm also a big fan when you talk about like settings and venues and genres. Old New York is a big thing for me. I love old school New York stuff, like 1900 to 1950, in that era. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a series that's set in and around kind of roughly that time, like and later in that time frame. That's a big time setting for me. For whatever reason, that resonates with me big time. And then entertainment industry stuff. A lot of what I read is that kind of stuff. So whether it's like literal nonfiction about how movies and TV and stage productions are made, or it's fiction that's set in and around that world like this is, that's big for me. So I feel like Roger Ebert in that way, where his thing was he came into this loving the original movie. For me, it was I came into it loving every single thing about it before it started. It already had its hooks in me. It's an entertainment industry show about the entertainment industry. That's a musical. That's a comedy with Nathan Lane, who's also a cheat code for me, because I'm also one of those people who I don't think I've ever seen Nathan Lane in something I didn't like. Or at least that I didn't like him in it to some degree. And importantly, he's not just great at comedy. If you ever get around to watching Only Murders in the Building, he does some comedy in that, but he's meant to be an antagonist. He's kind of scary in it. He's got some mob connections, and it's a whole thing. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very well done. Anyway, I'm burying the lead here. You thought you were going to get it from Tanner. You're going to get it from me. I'm giving this show 2 thumbs up. I fully acknowledge up front, like I did from the beginning, that it has its problems. I think it's almost definitely a better stage play than it is a movie. But I have the benefit, like Roger Ebert said in his review, of not having seen the original and not having seen the stage play. This is the only connection that I have to this. So loved the music, had a great time with that. I do think, even though it has some, hesitate to say problems, even though I think the directing is really uninspired. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I think you can also tell that the person behind the camera has a connection to the people who are in front of it. And while they might not be great at directing it from a film perspective, they are great at working with those people. The comedy worked for me. It landed for me. This was the most I was able to go, it's Mel Brooks. It's a musical, just run with it. It's of the time, it's of the era, just run with it. And that never bothered me. Where I have had that problem in some of the other stuff that has happened in the past, couple of weeks as we reviewed other films, where it didn't really work for me as often. I think when something is based in a different medium to begin with, when it's a stage show like this, and you're getting a lot of those quick beats, those almost sitcom like beats where you do a joke and there's a little break for the laugh and then you move right back into the next bit. It's very fast paced. That's where it works for me. I think if you had held on any of these things for too long, it wouldn't have played the way it should have. I never even really felt the length. I mean, I knew it was long because I knew there were things I needed to do when it was over, and I kept looking at the clock going, oh shit, like I got to get going. But I was in the exact opposite position. I didn't want it to end. I wanted to see everything that was going to happen with these characters and where it was going to go from there. So yeah, no, this is a show I would watch again. I'm very interested in watching the original, despite knowing how different it is. I said specifically, as soon as it was over, the moment this thing is touring again, I want to see it on stage. I want to see what somebody can do with this as a stage show. But I think it works as a film. The box office is what it is. Obviously, people weren't either into it or ready for it or whatever. I mean, it makes there's all sorts of different reasons why that's the case. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. It had some stiff competition.
Yes.
Pre-Christmas, you're going up against King Kong. You're going up against Chronicles of Narnia. This is not the movie that adults then go, I'm going to go watch this instead of those things, So yeah, ultimately, I liked it a lot. I could just leave it at that.
The box office problems, it reminds me of the Picard principle.
Oh.
Okay. What happens at the end?
Do you give us the Picard principle?
So the Picard principle, which is named after a character from a show called Star Trek: The Next Generation, the Jean-Luc Picard, played by the great Patrick Stewart, who said, and I don't know the exact quote because I'm sure it's an exact quote, but it basically equaled out to,
I know this.
It's possible to do everything right and still lose. And that whenever
it's not a weakness, it's life.
Right. Whenever I see a film, even though I didn't care for this movie as much as you guys did, I hope I have stressed to you that I can't deny the spectacle. And I also understand why people would like it. So when I see that this film does poorly at the box office, my initial thought isn't, oh, see, I'm justified. Other people didn't like it either. My thought is sometimes you can have a great product and people just don't buy it. That is just life, unfortunately. And sometimes you can have a terrible product and they eat it up like slop.
Oh yeah.
Everything I don't like is slop.
I do love, before we move on to the ending, that that by this point Mel had clearly grown into that, like, I don't really give a shit. I'm past the point of having to worry about that because
It's Mel
again,
Brooks.
Dracula Dead and Loving It, we talked about last week when he got negative reviews for that, and that was, you know, ultimately his last film that he was directly doing everything for. He was pretty upset about that. I mean, that was an original production of his.
Right.
This thing, by the point that we get this film, his original film stands the test of time. It is its own movie. People loved it. That's why he got the career that he did. And the stage show is such a hit that he's got that to hang his hat on too. He didn't need it. There was no need to go and fight an audience for this. I mean, he said, all right, I mainly made this because I wanted there to be a record of it having existed. I'm glad some people liked it. It's a shame more people didn't. He had matured.
He's also Mel Brooks. He's 80 years old at this point, or about to be 80 years old.
Yeah.
He has one of the most legendary careers, if not the most legendary career in comedy. When there's not many people that when you think of a specific genre, you think of a person. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, when you think of horror, you think Wes Craven, you think John Carpenter. Right. When you think comedy, you think Mel Brooks. When you think puppets, you think Jim Henson.
Yes.
When you think of overrated, oh my God, how does this make so much money? You think of Avatar. Anyway. To the ending, except that last one. The last one didn't do too well. Arrested for tax fraud, Max is imprisoned while Leo elopes with Ula to Rio de Janeiro. About to be sentenced, Max is saved by Leo, who returns to defend him. The judge, realizing Leo and Max are inseparable, sentenced them to both to 5 years at Sing Sing with Franz. That was another part that I liked when he said, you know, I hate to split up such a beautiful friendship, so I won't. And my first thought was, oh, he's going to let him go. And then when he did the 5 years of Sing Sing, I thought, thank God. I'm sorry, I know it's a comedy, it's a movie, but a man does not just walk into a court and sing a song and the judge goes, well, I'm convinced.
Right. Well, and you know how they got him too. That was another part I wish we had mentioned, because I thought this was very funny when the cops bust in and go, well, we got these 2 books here. Show to the IRS. What's the other one say? Never show to the IRS.
I like when the Irish.
Well, let's all 3 of you go downtown. You and these 2 books.
When the Irish cop finds him and he see Nathan Lane tries the Irish accent.
Boy,
I'll stop before I keep getting higher.
He keeps.
Now, see, to me that is very funny. Nathan Lane was very funny in those parts. But then the opposite of that is that the beginning part with Matthew Broderick, where I just thought he was insufferable, and then later when he's doing the fat. It didn't make me laugh. I don't know. It just didn't make me laugh.
I think what got me, and I can say this unequivocally, I think the lines themselves may not be funny, but actually it's Broderick's delivery, because his facial expression never changes. So he doesn't get he's the exact opposite of Gene Wilder, where Wilder gets the crazy eyes and his hair gets nuts. Broderick just deadpan, fatty. He just does not. And it works for some reason, to me anyway. I thought that was very funny. Or him just freaking out and that blanket going all over his face, but he never changes his facial expression.
The blanket, I didn't even realize it at first. When she asked what was
it looks like he's trying to hang himself with it.
I love the cardboard belt. That was funny. I wear a cardboard belt.
He just rips it up.
Writing and producing a new musical in prison, Leo, Max, and Franz are pardoned by the governor of New York for their work, allowing them to collaborate with Roger and Ula and release Prisoners of Love, which is a similar thing they're going for with R. Kelly and Diddy, if I remember correctly. The play's success means Leo and Max go to become successful Broadway producers, and in a post-credit scene, which was very fun, the cast and Mel Brooks sing goodbye to the audience, telling them it's time to leave, aping Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Except it's funnier because it's Mel Brooks, and I skipped the credits because I wanted to see it, and then I had to go back and listen to the credits again because I didn't realize there was comedy in the credits too. At the end, when he starts talking about, make sure you go check out Mein Kampf, and he starts talking about the bookstores you could get it, I was
on Borders.
What the hell am I listening to?
Und Amazon.com.
Oh, God.
Which was a book-selling website in 2005, and that's all. That's all they did.
Take me back to God's country. Let's let's talk about what happens after the credits roll. So, I feel a little hard to comment on it because I didn't enjoy the film as much, so I haven't really been thinking about, well, how would I like to continue the thing I didn't like? But Hunter does it for me, so I have to do it too. He does it for me when I make him watch Final Wars. Although this movie,
I just needed the context.
This movie's not. This is a better movie than Final Wars. I mean, I'll just say it outright. I just enjoy Final Wars more. I think Final Wars speaks to me better. Anyway, you know where we're going with this. What happens after the credits? I would just, if they were going to do anything extra, because I don't think the individual lives of the characters are going to be more interesting in the what after than the next adventure they go on. So as opposed to, well, Nathan Lane's character probably does this and whatever. I would like to see another zany scheme that they would try to pull off and try to make it work. It's like Ocean's 11, but you stop it after like 2. You don't make Ocean's 20, Well, that's all I've got. That's my time, Hunter.
I think this is more of a if you're going to try to sequelize it and continue on, it's more of a spin-off situation than it is a stay with the originals. And I think you follow Roger, man. Call it the directors. Give him a secondary, and I want to see who's working with him. Actually, I think there's something to be done there.
I would love to have a film based on him. Unfortunately, his actor passed away in the mid 2000 teens. Yeah, I didn't either until I was looking at it because his filmography ended after like 2013 or 14, and I wonder why. Oh, yeah,
that's a shame.
It is because he's so talented.
Otherwise, epilogue wise, I mean, because it's a musical and because it's the kind of show it is, you already get this, right? I mean, the film basically epilogues itself. These guys go on to be successful Broadway producers. They do what they do. It's a very happily ever after situation. I do think it's funny though that if you want to talk about like story structure and how we get from point A to point B and these characters as dynamic and not static characters and how they grow and change. They don't really, right? I mean, the most growing that happens is that they recognize that it's nice to have like friendships, but otherwise they don't learn anything. And I think that speaks to the comedy. That's part of why it's funny. But at the end, they become successful. How?
Yeah.
What's better now about what they're doing?
I was gonna mention. I wasn't gonna mention it, but it did cross my mind when I finished the film. I thought of you and I went, okay, where's the growth? Because no one really learned a lesson. All they learned is we got away with it. He gets the girl. They're both successful in spite of the fact they cheated. And, and I thought, is that important? Or sometimes is it less important? And I thought, I'm going to see what Hunter says about it.
In comedy, especially, it's not as important. So to me, my go-to character in terms of describing an archetypal protagonist who is also a static character, like they never learn, they never grow, they never change, is Deadpool, right? Deadpool is the main character of his own story, but Deadpool's not learning a lesson. Even if they sort of had the whole thing with him, and is it Vanessa? Is his girlfriend Vanessa? That's very weird because Wilson Fisk's girlfriend is Vanessa. Anyway,
Tiger Woods' girlfriend is Vanessa Trump.
Yeah, and Tiger Woods is also crazy. Anyway, but that's my go-to of that kind of character, and that works for that sort of character, right? You don't watch them to watch them get better at things. Mostly because Deadpool is a comedy character. That's the whole point, is that he exists to be funny. Comedic characters don't need to learn and grow and change as drastically as others do because you sort of don't want them to. That's what's funny about it. Usually you're punching down on them to some degree. And that's kind of what happens here. Now, there is that level of sweetness of, they're friends now. They work better together as a group. Matthew Broderick's Leo Bloom is no longer the accountant that he didn't want to be. Where
he found his inner strength.
What he wanted to do.
He did
kind of grow in that way. And Max only really grows in the sense that
he appreciates his friend. He did walk out of the courtroom, so it may have just been fake.
I think part of it is that he recognizes, and they only really hint at this. They don't say it explicitly, though I don't think they needed to, that the two of them and most of the other characters learn that they work better as a group than as individuals. When they're earnestly trying to do something, they're better at it. So, Lane is actually directly involved in getting the production up and going. And Bloom's the one who's more of the schemer. He sold 400% of ownership in Prisoners of Love.
Yeah, and then there's Franz, who I'm still trying to figure out why he changed in the end, because he was nuts, he hated him, he wanted to kill him, and then they're in prison and suddenly he's doing musicals for him.
No explanation. I think he just saw the money. I think because again, remember, he convinced them, or ultimately they convinced him that like, no, the musical's a hit. The show's a hit. The actors were the only ones that were the problems, and they don't work with them again. We don't see those characters.
Well, because he kills them all.
He's going to.
He's going to murder them all.
He's
Just
going to
kill
get
the
some
actors.
bullets, and then he's going to do it.
Yeah. Tanner, what about you? Anything you want to add to this?
I think they go on to try to do other plays about historical figures. Just pick the next one's about Vlad the Impaler or something like that.
No. You got to pick someone controversial. You got to pick someone to that target. I remember the reason that Hitler was such a topic for this is not because if you made this musical now, no one would bat an eyelash. But doing it at that time period, so close to World War II, if you did one now, it would have to be about Osama bin Laden or Donald Trump, Saddam Hussein. Yeah, it would have to be.
Trump would be too divisive. It would have to be somebody that everyone hates. Generally, like, as close to everyone hates as possible.
Fidel Castro's a good one because I've met plenty of people who defected from Cuba who, if you even say that name, they freak the fuck out.
Castro, I also think you might want to do someone that's dead though, just because. But I don't know. I mean, it has to be Bin Laden,
well,
right?
Shit, they already did this. It's got to be Bin Laden or Saddam Hussein. But I was gonna say it could have been. Oh shit, who's the kid from North Korea?
Kim Jong-un.
Kim Jong.
There you go. It could have been him, but South Park already did it. They did that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's there's a version of this that already exists. And I guess to be fair, they did do that with Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein too. But that's definitely, it's got to be universal evil, and then you make them look good.
Well,
they don't look good. You make fun of them.
You say universal evil, but then how many people in the United States this day pride themselves on being fucking Nazis and alt-right and neo-Nazis and look up to Hitler, including Kanye?
That's why I don't think this would work. I don't think you could do this as successfully and effectively now.
No, because people love to be contrarian. They love to be the opposite of what you are. So if you say Nazis are bad, well, then they're proud to be a Nazi. If you say education's great, then they're proud to be fucking brain dead. You
I did love
fucks.
No, we didn't.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tanner.
I like the idea of it doesn't have to be someone current. Like, it doesn't have to be this time period. Like, it's just a sequel to this film or this stage show, and it's just Max and Leo get out and decide they want to continue this trend. Let's keep making musicals about terrible historical figures, and they get out. Like, the first person they make one about is Judas or Nero or what's the other crazy ass Roman emperor?
Caligula?
Caligula would have been one.
Well, they already made a Caligula.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about the Caligula film? Can we talk about that before we get out of here?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So
it's that, and then
it's just porn, dude.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they tricked everybody. Like, because this movie has some real people in it. Helen Mirren is in it. Roddy McDowell is in it. Like, there's some big actors, because they did not know it was funded by the guy from, what was it, Hustler, I think? And they put actual sex in the movie. Yeah, full on sex in the film. And when they saw it, they went, "Oh, take our name off."
The fact that the show that he opens the movie with is called Funny Boy, and it's about Hamlet. I mean, okay, first of all, that's a Streisand joke because a funny girl, which is great in and of itself. But then also, he's trying to do a musical version of Hamlet, which is also too long and not funny. Like, there's nothing funny about it.
Except Roger and his friend loved it.
Well, yeah, of course,
he thought it was great. I'm looking it up, by the way, and
they set the tone from the get-go. By the way, one of my favorite lines for that is just in that opening line where they say that Bialystok regularly does to Shakespeare, because he does a lot of Shakespeare when there's a King Lear in the background, but it's Leer and the character's just staring. And he does to Shakespeare what Booth did to Lincoln, and I was like, God bless America.
John Wilkes Booth. There's another topic for a musical.
No, because I'm sure someone
actually that would be pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna put it in the chat here, if in case you guys have never seen this. It was something I had thought about while we were talking about musicals. Okay, well, we'll put it in the chat. I told you to. All right, this is an SNL skit where they try. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Hunter, where they're trying to save musicals. So all the different Broadway shows get together to try to think of a way to save Broadway. It's very funny. That is also gonna do it for us here tonight on Extras and Epilogues for tonight. But we'll be back tomorrow. We are gonna take an audience poll when the show is over. So stick with us because what do you like better, sober or not sober? Tonight you've seen the sober version. It's been a while. So let me know how you feel. Or if you prefer the part where I'm happy about everything and going like, hey man, that movie about the producers was gangbusters. Anyway, I don't know. Tomorrow we're finishing up Muppet Brooks May with the Muppets. Lindsay will be back. And it should be a lot of fun, as was this whole month. We've had some banger months. What was the last bad movie month? Oh, it was October. No,
no.
There were some good ones too.
Because we didn't do anything in October, did we?
Well, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did my staff picks because I was all jazzed up for When Evil Lurks, and then we watched it, and it was that Strange Wilderness for Zach.
Yeah, that was.
I'm sweating the whole time, going no.
Actually, shit, it might be November was the last time that we had several in a row that we really didn't like.
Was that Nostalgic November when we had?
Yeah.
Well, but it's also different people dislike different things because, like, we both. I think me and Zach both loved, or at least I loved, Almost Heroes. Or it was Jesse, I think, that was on the show, and you didn't care for that one.
Yeah,
none of us cared for Strange Wilderness, including Zach.
No. Yeah, and November was kind of a weird month because it was Wayne's World, Almost Heroes, Strange Wilderness, and Clue.
Yeah,
we were kind of all over the place.
It was up and down. Yeah.
September last year, I don't know if you recall.
Sequel September. That was the one that
was
came
the
back.
Bad one. Yeah, it was the bad one because that was
Mortal Kombat,
Return to Jafar, Annihilation, Blair Witch 2, and TMNT 3.
Oh yeah, because we specifically set out
time that there were.
We specifically set out to watch the worst sequels we could think of. We were punishing ourselves.
Yeah, so that's kind of a cheat.
Hey,
in terms of
good news!
bad
This September we get to do the third Blair Witch movie.
Potentially, it's up for vote.
Yeah, right.
You got to get
be a lot of things.
You got to get the votes there. Gremlins 2 also up for grabs. For the record,
it's true.
But that's going to do it for us tonight. Stick with us in the live chat, of course, on the Superstation, Twitchzilla 1985. If you're listening to us on Spotify and the interwebs and all those things, you got to join us live. Join in on the conversation like Zach is right now, like Dweezy is, like Josie. Actually, Josie is around so often, we have a button for her. Let's hit that button.
I'm Josie.
You're a vulture, Josie. Yeah, you're a little vulture.
And it's Will Ferrell. So
it is.
Full circle. All right. Thank you, guys. We will see you tomorrow for the Muppets. The balcony is closed once again. Hunter, please take us out.
Shannon, I'm not going to the toilet. I'm going into showbiz.